Call the meeting in order. I've got 3:45 PM.
Okay.
Has everybody reviewed the minutes? Can I get a motion on the minutes?
Yes.
Okay, any discussion?
No.
Nope, all set.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, Matt, you want to talk about high school auditorium upgrades?
Yes,
Equipment upgrades.
yes. So I've had a request to try to find funding to do equipment upgrades in the auditorium. And I'm trying to pull up Brian Stack's email. Cause his, I want to go off of this document. You have this document?
I got a chance to look at it briefly.
Okay.
We just got it a little while.
Oh, yeah,
ago.
a few hours ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and what I did is I walked through, the facility and I wanted to kind of get an idea of the age of the equipment and listen to what they have to say about the equipment.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I want to point out is that we recently rented out the facility and we had a band come in with modern digital equipment and they couldn't hook it up to our system, because our system is so antiquated. So, and I have pictures as well on my phone. We have in the rack, VCR and a regular DVD player, but one that doesn't do, Blu-ray, so they can't, project modern, DVDs through the projector.
Well, that's what, about $300 of the $142,000 you got here?
Actually, they're not asking for the full 142,000. What we found is they got a quote for one of the items, and on the original request it was $45,000, but when they got the quotes in, it was only 25,000. Okay, so I don't think it's reasonable to say, here, let me do the one that's 25,000. It is the auditorium video processing connections and controls, so it's the fourth item down, okay? And you can see, it's row 6 on your Excel spreadsheet.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
A lot of these things have various ways to connect. You could do like an optical cable, an HDMI, a Bluetooth, wireless. I mean, is there another option for if they have the Bluetooth to make it work if you have the interface?
No, not our system.
Okay.
Our system, for example, the lighting control, to save a particular configuration for the lighting control, you have to use a 3.5 inch floppy disk.
Okay.
That's the only thing.
Right.
So Bluetooth wasn't invented when this system was out.
Yeah, sure.
So essentially what we're looking at, to expand on what Matt talked about, was in order to get the new equipment in, you have to replace the back panel.
Okay.
So it's not just a matter of adding a Blu-ray. You have to replace the back panel, and you have video mixers. You have to bring the back panel and all equipment up to 4K compliance. The projector was replaced with a 4K compliant projector.
Yeah.
But your equipment always runs, the throughput only goes to your fastest piece of equipment.
Right.
So the projector will never run at 4K if the other equipment is 1080. So any piece of equipment in there, if it's not upgraded to 4K compliance, all right, you're gonna have a block at that particular piece of equipment.
Yeah.
So what this essentially does is, in pieces, it's gonna actually upgrade. In order to upgrade the video, you have to upgrade the back panel in order to put the newer equipment in. The equipment and the back panel are 15 years old, or as old as the high school.
So this isn't an issue with the projector that we just spent a whole bunch of money on?
No, it's getting equipment that runs into the projector so that you can use the 4K compliance on the projector.
Okay.
The previous projector had issues with the bulbs and the fan, and multiple things were breaking at times. So they replaced the projector with what is a fairly new equipment,
Yeah.
but the rest of the equipment was never replaced.
Okay.
Did you buy used cube equipment when we set up the gym? I'm really having a very hard time with this, I'll be very honest with you.
Well, let's hear what they have to say and then we'll.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we did. I can't tell you, I can only tell you that when I was here when we built the high school.
Yeah.
And all corners were cut, money-wise. I wasn't involved in, building the auditorium and that equipment, and I can't even tell you who the vendor was. But I can tell you that money was an object and things were cut, and they weren't done exactly the way it was 15 years ago. So this
But
equipment
even if
was.
money hadn't been cut 15 years later, there'd be issues.
That's essentially what I'm trying to say. It doesn't matter what we did when we built it.
Yeah.
Technology moves in a year, and we're talking 15 years of worth of technology. 3.5 inch versus a thumb drive. A lot of people come in and they want to be able to put in a thumb drive for a video. It's even past Blu-ray and DVD right now. We can't put a thumb drive into that to run anything off of a
If
thumb
we're
drive.
not renting it then.
So one of the things that,
We haven't been renting it. I don't
No.
see any income stream from rental.
But you can, because
Yeah,
I've done it. Within 2 to 3 years ago, I brought a thumb drive and it connected to the laptop on the podium and it was able to be projected onto the screen.
You have to know some technology too to do that.
I did.
in the auditorium?
Yeah.
Because it's my understanding, the way that it's set up right now, to project it through the projector, they have to run an HDMI cable from the projection booth down across the floor.
that's the way it
To the
works. when you
stage.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, so when your laptop is actually directly connected to the,
Projector.
to the projector, it doesn't pass through the system that's up there, because the system can't take HDMI, it can't take Bluetooth, all the different formats that you had mentioned earlier, it can't do any of those.
So one possible option would be to do cabling down to the front.
Yeah, and
That's
actually,
it, that's included in
Okay.
that $25,000 quote.
Okay.
That's HDMI cabling to the front.
yeah,
What's underneath that floor? Is there anything under there?
I have never been under there.
Okay.
I think it's an open space, you mean
It
the
is an open
stage?
space.
It's an open
but I've
space.
never been under there.
So I took a picture of the connections to the front of the stage.
Yeah.
And these are all the connections, so you have VGA, then you have, there's no HDMI, there's no modern connection.
Now,
Okay.
is this at the front below the stage?
Yeah, right below the
Yeah,
stage.
okay, yeah. So
So,
there's no HDMI at all?
yeah, there's the VGA, we have some mics, and then we have, a coax, video,
Yeah.
an S video, and then left and right sound, and that's it.
Okay.
So at our work, we have those connections in our conference rooms to be able to connect up HDMI, we have a connection cord. It's that big. Connects up one to the other and then you can connect up.
Right,
So those exist.
yeah.
Now, I do want to point out that the numbers that we got from a vendor 3 years ago, we believe are inflated numbers. So we're not even asking for an inflated number, we're asking for like a percentage of it. We know 25,000 of it, but what we're asking for is like a not to exceed amount. But, you know, we're gonna go and try to find the best of what we can do within that.
You know, I looked over the list.
Yep.
And some of that stuff, I mean, it really didn't break it down into what's not working
Yeah,
versus a wish list of what's perfect versus what we have. So I think we need to break it down into what's not working. Like Superintendent Ambrose mentioned that he had a problem doing a presentation recently. Something wasn't working. So what's not working? We've got, what, 175,000 in our reserve fund?
that was about, we're not talking about the capital reserve, but we're talking about taking it from the facilities revolving fund, which has over 200,000.
Okay, but nevertheless, we've got a big project coming up.
Yep.
Through the summer. I'm reluctant to throw a whole lot of money, take a whole lot of money out of that fund. So I'd like to narrow it down to what we really need to have to do right now.
And to tag on to that.
Yeah.
We can't pick and choose, because my guess is that if you start changing the components, you gotta.
Well,
make
some of
sure
these
they
things are
upgrade.
lighting and curtains and have nothing to do with the audio or the connecting
Right.
to the projector.
Yeah, the curtains, like dry cleaning the curtains,
Right.
that we can't pull out of the revolving fund, that we have to go find in our operating budget.
Okay,
The cyclorama, which is this big, huge white sheet on the back of the stage, we can't pull that out of the facilities revolving because it's not technology as well.
Okay,
That is yellow and it's ripped and it has stains on it that needs to be replaced, but we would have to find that in the operating. What I was thinking was the video processing for 25,000, which is the third item down. And what that would do is it would bring the video up to standard within the auditorium. We got the projector, so that's done. We would have to.
That would
also
include the cabling to the stage too, that includes the HDMI cable to the stage.
We're asking for the screen replacement, because the screen on the stage is the wrong format. It's not a wide format, like a theater format. It's got the TV format, okay? And 3 years ago, they estimated 15,000. We're asking for 10,500. If we can't do it within 10,500, it won't get done, okay? Well, done now.
what's the difference in terms of dimensions between what we have now and what we would have with the screen, and how critical is it?
The one that we have right now, from what I understand, and it's almost better if you're standing there looking at it. It's the same dimension as an old tube TV,
But
not,
that's the picture that we have when we do the deliberative, and that we've seen every time we do
yeah,
something in there, right?
right, but the projector can do a wider,
Okay,
okay, so it's the same dimension as the screen behind you. Okay,
well, isn't the one that there now bigger than this?
oh, it's much bigger,
Yeah,
but the other thing too is, it's
so you
got
wanna make it smaller?
No, it would be wider.
Okay,
But then it would also have a different reflective surface on it that they can focus on better. Right now, it's coming across a little blurry because the screen can't bounce back the light well.
okay, and so who needs 2010 vision on this thing instead of 2030?
Here's some of my questions. The last finance committee meeting was 2 months ago, and 2 months ago, we asked questions about the auditorium. We said, there's an auditorium manager, where's he do, what are the rentals? He hasn't been in rentals in a very long time, not really sure what he does. Yes, it's a stipend position. He's supposed to be taking care of it and all these things, and there wasn't really a lot of knowledge about what's going on within the auditorium. One finance meeting later, we desperately need, right now, in the midst of all this investment, tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars to upgrade it because there's issues. And we're told, well, there's a band that wanted to rent it and wasn't able to. So question, how much was the band willing to pay for the auditorium?
You know, I don't know how much that was. I think they did come, and it was a local church that rented the space to have a band.
1,000? Can't imagine it's 10,000.
No, we could look. I can probably look well.
So my point would be, assume it's 1,000. You're talking one of 66, so you're talking a 66-year payback. Yeah, I don't see the value of it at this point in time,
Well,
given what's going on, as you said, Jim.
I
We
think-
don't know what we don't know about the construction that's going on. We're trying to cover those costs right now through operating budgets and budget freezes and squeezing here and there. If we run into issues, we're gonna need revolving fund monies to take care of those issues. To spend it now on something that isn't a critical path item would seem to me to be penny wise and pound foolish.
So if we can get down to the things that are really critical, in other words, this screen to me right now seems discretionary.
Okay.
I mean, okay, so you don't have the 2010 crystal clear focus, but it's been good enough for the deliberative session for lots of other things. And to Jamie's point, I'd like to see if we're gonna upgrade this to, a 10-star facility, what's the plan for rentals? Who are we gonna use these facilities and utilize and have that need, and what's the return to the school district gonna pay?
You almost have to have a 5-year projection of who you're gonna have for tenants to rent the facility to justify
Mhm.
$50,000 of expenditures.
Mhm.
You know, you can put on a play and you can do a whole bunch of things, and it doesn't have to be Broadway.
And the LED lights, well, that really is beneficial to us because it will conserve on energy, we get
That's right.
that.
Well, that's another thing,
But
how
it's
much,
still
how
a
much
big
is it gonna
investment, and how much
conserve
is the,
for $45,000? That's the cost,
it's 31 actually, isn't it?
Oh,
The LEDs.
the LED lights,
45,000,
yeah, to refit all the 54
right?
theater lights, but that 45,000 is what the vendor put down. We were
Because it was
asking for
They're 31, they got.
31,500.
All right. So those are the kind of, I mean, some of this stuff probably does need to be done right away. If the superintendent brings somebody up from Columbia and they can't do a presentation, that's a problem.
Yeah.
If we can't do the presentation for the deliberative session, that is a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Then
Well,
we
the
gotta be-
deliberatives doesn't require new technology.
It doesn't have to be.
No, you have-
Yeah, I think, and not to go over my bounds here, but I think we're talking about projecting text and
Yeah.
Word documents versus somebody that's coming in and doing a PowerPoint or doing some kind of video
And it's two
or
different
some kind of
things.
high-end
Yeah,
graphics. And that's what you would tend to do is, and I think, you know, to be totally honest, I think that, you know, your kids, your drama clubs and those particular band and everything have reduced their offerings based on what they have in there.
Mhm.
And not knowing drama and anything like that, but they've adapted to the equipment that they have. And so probably, common sense would tell me they've been restricted by
Okay,
what's
but
in there.
to
With-
Jamie's point,
This is running, I just wanna make it clear, this is running,
right,
but this is, you know, Mr. Stack has said that he had, the band came in, or whoever it was, he told us this morning, had a, after meeting with him, this was just recently,
yeah,
and said, we'll be going to Timberlane next time, we won't be coming back here because your equipment is too old. So, you know, that's sort of what probably put this on the highlight for Brian, I can't speak for him.
right,
I'm only here to talk to the equipment stuff,
Yeah.
but I think that my perception is that in order for the kids to get to a different level too, we're teaching kids, we have the, person who gets the stipend, bringing kids up there to teach them how to work these particular things. This is actually, could be a job or, you know, that kind of function for kids. They're learning something they'll never work on. They'll never see a floppy disk, and they'll never see some of the things that are up there. So as far as bottom line type things, yeah, bottom line, it's probably not gonna pay for itself over a period of time, if that's the way you're looking at it. But
well,
it's
that's just one
Yeah.
part of it.
Right, and that's why I'm talking, the
Yeah.
original vendor, okay, gave us a plan to upgrade over 5 years.
Right.
We haven't been able to fulfill that particular plan,
Well, I'm
to do
thinking that-
one piece at a time.
I'm thinking that we need a current plan with more detail, as far as, you know, what we can live with now, what we'd like to see happen next year, the year after that, and the year after that. Because we're gonna be saving a lot of money starting in September. We don't have that money now. We've got to hold money for this, consolidation. If we have $2,000 in the revolving fund, that money could be needed. If we don't have it in the revolving fund, we don't have it.
Okay.
So let's get down to what we really need.
Can I ask for then, I'm gonna try to ask for 3 things out of this list.
Yeah.
Okay? The first one is the video processing connections and control upgrades.
So Matt, what are we gonna get for $25,000
You're gonna get,
besides the HDMI cable?
this just pretty much, updates the backbone. Okay, this is the basis of the video and sound side of the system.
And the screen is included in that. The screen is
The screen?
$8,000 of that. In that $25,000 quote that I got, the screen is $8,000 and the rest of the equipment is $16,000.
Oh, so that would knock off the screen down below? Oh, so we could just cross that one out? I
Yeah.
wasn't aware of that.
Yep, that's including the screen and all the video upgrades on the back panel
Okay,
and the HDMI cabling.
So Bob, can you tell us what the other So minus the 8,000 and the HDMI cabling, what's the rest of the money?
The
What's
video devices on the back panel,
Yeah,
that interface with the projector would bring it to 4K compliance.
okay,
So that somebody could go and come in, and plug in a thumb drive or a DVD, and they could run 4K versus over the, projector. It also gives you the resolution that you need from the projector to see on the screen up front.
so if we have that there, do we need the HDMI cabling?
I don't know if they do that.
Well, the HDMI cabling brings that to the stage.
Oh, I see.
That was the problem that Mr. Ambrose had when he wanted to do a presentation from the stage.
Yeah,
There's no HDMI cable to the stage, it's VGA.
okay.
And if you get, one of the restrictions that you have with VGA is you have a footage, to where it starts to degrade,
Yeah,
when you run along VGA. So when you start moving around the stage with that VGA cable,
yeah,
you can see it, you can see text and everything, but other things where you're using graphics and those type of things tend to degrade, and they're not as sharp. So you may not notice it when you're doing the deliberative sessions and those type of things, but other people will see it when they're
so
doing
the
higher
equipment
end.
that brings it to 4K is just a device, and that it allows a higher speed?
Right,
Okay,
that's the best way to look at it.
okay, and the HDMI cable is what conveys that higher speed processing up to where it needs to go. And it's not, you can't do it wireless.
And what we can do is we can also run sound over HDMI so
Right.
that he can project from the stage and project sound and video via the HDMI. That's,
Okay,
All right, so 25 minus 8 is 16,
17.
17. And that, but that includes okay, 17, okay.
okay,
Um,
I'm gonna put you in the math intervention program.
Yeah,
sorry.
Still got a question, still what was the band going to pay, so what was the rental?
yeah.
We said the projector was already paid for, how much was the projector?
I think the projector was like $10,000. It was a big number.
Cause I remember a $12,000 fee from Star Sound Systems, is it that one?
no, that's that would be the school board, that's, Star Sound did the school board system, and they did the projector in the library, because the projector in the library had gone to where it was past repair. So they set it up also so that there would be a screen, a pull-down screen behind you for the school board meetings. So that $12,000 for Star Sound was for the, pretty much running board meetings and everything in the library, and being able to project.
But that
It's
is,
probably equivalent to that. 'cause
that,
it's the
for
same
that
size.
system, because we had another one from Star Sound that also said library, we had a $7,036 one. So between the two of them, we spent $20,000 to upgrade audio visual for the library. Was there any thought given at the time as to what's more priority for us, the library or the auditorium? 'Cause we just spent $20,000 on.
That was a direct request from the superintendent to upgrade the
I
library.
understand.
Yep.
Most of the things that we do are.
Yep.
But nonetheless, we just spent that for audiovisual upgrades this year, 20 grand.
All right,
In the library.
let me just show you.
Normally you
this.
have an audiovisual budget that you work over time, and you don't do all your big things in the same year. That's how it normally is planned out in
Yeah.
this world.
We have a rack of lighting equipment, and what this is this is the dimmers when they dim the lights at the beginning of a show.
Yeah.
It all runs through this rack. And the item above the video processing, which is the sensor dimming system, what they're asking to do is not to replace it, but to do maintenance on it, which means that you're gonna have a technician come in, pull it apart, go through each of the boards, test them, clean them, remove all the dust out of it, put it together, and give us a 3-year warranty on the system.
And what's the cost on that?
We think we can do it for $7,000.
And where are these prices coming from?
Well, the thing is $10,000 was given to us by a vendor 3 years ago. We think we can do it in 70% of what that vendor is asking.
But there's been no bids on any of this?
No, because what we wanna do is, we're having problems trying to find vendors because we don't have authorization to spend money.
Mhm.
That's really the big problem.
It's not the only big problem.
Okay,
No, it's certainly not. I mean, having answers to a lot of these questions is really important before we spend.
well, if the committee is uncomfortable, I'd rather the committee table this.
Well, let's hear the next one.
Okay,
Yeah,
the next one would be, you have to go down farther, this would be replacing, I'm not pronouncing this right, it's the CYC lights, SICK lights, and basically what they are, they're square lights that go in the back of the stage, that light up the back of the stage. The problem is we have to get up on a huge ladder to put the gels on the top of it, they don't change. The new modern ones are LED, and you can change the colors of them. These lights are used by our play, but we also have a competition that comes in here and does a show up on the stage in the spring, and those people do pay us. And the lights, instead of displaying pink, it's putting in like a rose color. It's not clear, and they're incandescent lights, they're not LED lights.
and what do they pay, Matt? You know what they pay, the competition?
I think they pay about $500 a day.
For how many days?
I think it's 3 days. Do you know?
I'm sorry,
It's the competition where the girls come in here. It's like a beauty pageant.
I have no clue.
You have no clue.
What is the
wasn't
estimate on
anticipating
these?
questions.
Yeah,
What's the
it's-
estimate on the
Sorry.
CYC upgrade?
We're estimating 10,500.
Bob, what can you tell us about the maintenance on how long has it ever been done?
The maintenance on,
On the sensor dimming system?
Okay.
not through me.
Oh, you don't know, okay.
Yeah, what happened was, Mr. Stack and myself just kind of have taken this on, so there are
Yeah.
pieces that, obviously, I don't deal out the lighting and stuff
Right.
like that,
Who
but we
does?
do.
Okay.
You and I have not met, but I'm assuming you're the IT director, and therefore you should
Well,
know
that's
what
No, it's
different.
the stipend
Yeah.
person who does this.
stipend person.
Yes, okay. And the thing with the lights, the way that I understand it, they haven't been maintained by an outside vendor for the entire time that the high school's been built. There is a sign on there where one of the maintenance people went in there and vacuumed out all the dust in 2014, okay? What I'm really hoping to do after all this is done is sign a service agreement where the vendor comes in once a year and does preventative maintenance on all the equipment.
At a cost of,
Well, we haven't spoken to the vendor yet. Well, actually, we would have to go out and get quotes for that particular maintenance before we can actually do it. The only quote that we have is for the audio-visual equipment. We're asking for like authority to spend, and then we can go get vendors for this.
The sensor dimming system that needs the maintenance, is it working now?
It is working right now.
Are there any issues other than the fact that it needs maintenance, cleaning?
Just cleaning right now.
Is,
Sounds $7,000 for cleaning. Sounds like a lot.
They just, from what I understand, they completely dismantle that whole
Okay.
panel
Right.
and go through each component and then replace what's needing to be replaced. Like if they think it's gonna become a problem, they'll replace that piece and put it back together.
Kind of hard to tell with electronics, though. I mean, it's great one day and the next day it's burned out, right?
Yeah,
and again, it could be like your 4G TV that you spend $500 or $600 today as opposed to $35,000, $3,500.
Yeah,
You throw it out,
right.
you don't recycle, you just bang it up with a hammer and a
What's
garbage.
the value of this system? What would it cost to replace it, do you know?
I think it would be substantial. It may even be like a rack of half the size too. So I don't have a number for you. This is just a maintenance on it.
do we have an IT, technology trade at the, Seacoast School of Technology? Is that one of the things that we have, programs studying?
I don't think it's that sophisticated, whatever they mean. I I'm just guessing on that one.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. But I've not seen anything.
My guess is it would be broken up to things like programming, networking, not an IT, including
Subsets,
everything.
subsets, but not,
Yeah,
not
there would be,
program.
there would be pieces of it.
So,
You're looking for $35,000.
well,
Even though you didn't know that the screen was in there?
I didn't know the screen was
So
in
that
there.
would have been 40.
This was,
He's looking for 44
You,
or
you have to
5.
understand, I got the quote after the 3 quotes were done, and that was the first time I saw it, which was last week. So I've been trying to put some effort towards trying to make sure that this is the best that we can do.
I can see somewhat of an urgency on the video processing portion. I'd like to see a quote on the maintenance part for the sensor dimming system. The lights, I mean, yeah, it'd be nice to be able to do it an easier way as far as changing those gel things, but it doesn't seem critical. I mean, that's something that we could plan for, I would think.
Okay, and then I can ask them to update their plan and make it more modern.
I think we need to see a revenue stream as well. Because if,
Very
you know,
much so.
if our kids don't use it that much,
Yes,
it's not worth putting in $50,000
yes,
for 20 kids,
yes.
okay?
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Not that we don't want to help and provide,
No, I understand.
okay?
And I'm
This
talking
is a
about,
big nut, this is a big nut.
as far as the video processing equipment, I'm talking about the 17 grand, not including the 8 for the screen. The video processing equipment and the HDMI cabling, it would be 17 grand.
Is that correct?
16 to change, yeah.
Okay.
That's,
I think that would be reasonable.
Okay, so that's 17, and
But
then,
we don't have a quote on that either, right?
Well, no,
Yes,
that-
we do,
Oh,
yes.
you do?
I went out and it's been a long process getting 3 quotes
Okay.
for that particular piece.
Yep.
And the screen was included in that because it had to be fire retardant and everything. But it was separated out to 16 and change it.
And you got 3 quotes?
We got 3 quotes, some of them are old, because getting
Yeah.
vendors in and coordinated, some of them are one-man shows and, that type of thing. And to be honest with you, a lot of people, if you don't have the money, they don't have particular departments anymore that do quotes. You have the sole proprietor coming out and doing the quote after he's done what he's done during the day, or you have to get him, he's doing the work and he's doing the quoting.
Like a power washing company.
Yeah, that's what it's
A
down to.
roofer,
Yes.
right.
Yes. And then getting them to sit down at night after he's been through a long day and draw you up a quote is again another process that takes time.
yeah,
So
that's
this-
how they get business, if they don't wanna do
It
that,
is,
they don't
and
want.
you try to push that on them, Kelly, but I'm just being honest with you. I'm
If
just
they have a
being
month's
honest.
worth of work, a lot of these guys, they don't look beyond that.
Oh my gosh,
Um,
what a way to live.
So this 17, do the other quotes also have the screen included?
Yeah,
They all do.
yeah, it was apples to apples.
So this was the best one?
This was the best one for 2 reasons. The quotes were all roughly around 25,000.
Okay,
The one quote that we got from MFI was the 40, and after we researched that, we found out they were marking up the equipment an enormous amount of money. So that's why we went away from them. And now, when we got these quotes, we made sure the equipment was within reason. There's obviously labor in there and everything. This person has a relationship with Gordon, who is our new system manager. He knows them from his previous job. And they were more timely in their meetings, and it seemed like they were more able to do the job rather than somebody who I had to chase down to get a quote for $25,000.
and the prices are pretty much around the same?
Right.
Okay. What do you think?
How much do we get when we rent the auditorium?
$500.
If we're lucky. I can see
I'm without
that.
any concern, so.
Yeah, but this-
I'm
but
for
then I can
But this
see
isn't
that.
just for rentals, this is so that, we can do these presentations with the, when they're doing the professional development and all of
Yeah.
that, you know?
And quite honestly, we won't be able to use it for much of anything if we don't get that technology in there. The issues of how we got this far along without having all that other stuff that goes with it is a whole nother ballgame, but I think that piece, I'm in on that piece only at this point. I don't care about the lights not being bright enough. I can wait in there a little bit until we get a bigger picture of what we need for technology. I want a plan.
Yeah,
I guess I'm thrown by the amount, because I knew we had some problems, I can't tell you that I didn't know that. But this is a lot of money on top of all the other money we're spending.
Can I laugh about some of the stuff I found?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so the lighting control software has a computer screen to it, okay? And the copyright on that is 1996,
okay.
okay? It does run off of a floppy disk.
So we bought old stuff 12
Oh my
years ago.
gosh. It looks like a DOS program.
Oh, God, don't even, I shudder.
But it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's slower
I
than
can tell you it
hell.
does work.
It does work, but slower
Do
than
we have
hell.
spare floppy disks?
There are the camera connections right there.
Yeah.
They're not even like modern connections.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's for which part of what we've talked about is
The
this?
video processing?
Yeah, the
Oh,
video
okay,
processing.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
This is the screen right here. This is the cyclorama in the back.
Mhm.
And if you see it, it's not white, it's a yellow color. And it's got a rip in it. It's got a rip dead center in it.
So you have clear packing tape for it.
And then
I'm
there's,
being fresh.
and then there's a stain on it.
Jeez, don't even.
So I think
You
we know
made your
where,
point.
I think Ellie and I have had a lot of chance to talk here. I'd like to hear more from Jamie's.
So one of the questions I have is, was this or was this not on the original capital improvement plan that we reviewed in the facilities committee?
Okay, so here's the history as I understand it. It was part of the capital improvements plan 3 years ago, okay? For the past 2 years, the plan kind of dropped off the face of the earth. When it was presented as part of the capital improvement plan for this particular year, and that whole section for the auditorium was not approved.
Correct.
And it wasn't put onto the capital improvement
Correct, so
plan.
the point I wanted to make is the facilities committee reviewed this and said no. So they removed it from the capital plan. The original request here started as we're losing rental money. But we still don't know what we charge for rental money. We don't know what our perspectives are. We don't have a full understanding of what our stipend auditorium manager does. But please, take a look at a $142,600 bill, because we really should upgrade, and we do have some legitimate beefs about the equipment that does work today. But I don't think we've properly made a plan here that says, this is what we want to do, how we're going to do it, how we're going to utilize it. What is the stipend manager of the auditorium going to do? How is he going to market this new activity in order to be able to go and get rental income? To help pay for the qualifications or the capabilities that we're spending on.
And how much
I don't see any of that having been laid out.
Does he generate enough income to pay for his stipend or any part of it?
Okay, can I speak to that? Because I did ask about that particular position, and unfortunately, I'm not very good at regurgitating the same information. It's my understanding this person's responsibility is to make sure everything is operational within the facility. They're also supposed to go in there and teach all the kids how to use all the equipment. And really, that's the main focus of their duties.
Okay, well, when I first heard about this position, it was explained that they were gonna do that. Actually, I didn't hear, the teaching part of it wasn't explained. It was staying on top of the equipment to make sure that things were working when an event was going to happen.
Yes.
The other part of it was gonna be that they're going to be a rental agent, and they're going to promote the auditorium and bring in new business. And then that kind of went away. And then it became just making sure the light bulbs work and all of that kind of stuff. But I think how long has that person been in that position?
I think it's a relatively new position.
But it's over a year now, right?
Yeah,
Okay, because I remember meeting her pre-deliberative. Is it the same woman or is it somebody different?
I think it's been the same woman for about a year, and she was the first Donna.
So now it's time to maybe expand the job a little bit.
mhm,
If we're gonna look at investing some money in, you know, it'd be nice to have a plan for getting some return on that investment. Not necessarily that that's gonna pay for any of this, but it will offset some of the costs.
yes.
Um,
Can I mention the rates?
yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
the rate depending upon whether it's an in-district or out-of-district nonprofit, it ranges between $100 and $250. So a for-profit venture is $250 per hour. And in-district for-profit is $200 an hour. And then out-of-district nonprofits, $125, and in-district nonprofits, $100.
what about the $500 a day?
I think that particular organization probably rented it for
3 days?
for maybe 5 hours total.
I see.
And this, you have to understand too, these prices haven't been visited since 2014.
Since Methuselah.
Yeah, I mean, the rock band is going, the rock band's going to Pinkerton and Timberland, what are they charging?
Pinkerton and Timberland?
Yeah,
No, I don't know.
right,
And really, this policy needs to be updated. Everything that has to do with rentals and
And
facilities. needs
we're
to
not
be-
gonna compete with Pinkerton's facility, that is a phenomenal.
Or the stage at Timberland.
Oh, yeah,
either.
yeah,
That is outstanding. They
Yeah.
have serious
I mean, they've got
on-Broadway productions.
they've got 3,000 kids there.
Oh, okay.
I saw, the Bacon Brothers play there, Kevin Bacon's band,
Oh, yeah?
really good,
Okay.
yeah, highly recommend
Be
But-
that as it may,
Yeah,
I think the most you can hope for today is $17,000, up to 17,000.
yeah,
I wouldn't go
I'm
anywhere else.
going to make a motion, or put it on, make a motion for discussion on the 17,000 for the video processing.
Second.
Any discussion?
What's your motion
To-
continue
to-
discussion?
Allow
no.
to expend up to,
To spend up to 17,000 for the video processing, which includes the HDMI cabling, so that they can project the texts and other documents that they need to do a presentation.
To be spent when?
To be spent when you need it, I guess.
before deliberative session, maybe? We
When can they get the work done?
Oh, and, well, I mean, every one of the people that I talked to was booked for quite a while.
Okay.
And we've held off because we're trying to get, first of all, financing and then other quotes. I don't know when they can do it.
Yeah,
I would say it's well into next year.
oh,
That would be my guess.
okay,
But that's just a guess.
well, that's critical information.
But we can't get into line without.
need to get into line for this particular item, so it's the video processing, the, connections and control upgrade, not the screen.
Not the screen.
I think we should get in the queue on that, because there's still a lot of work in terms of putting a package together where we wanna go.
And
Yes.
that is a good way to put it. I mean, you do get in a queue, especially with small businesses. I mean,
Yeah.
he's gonna, you have to get in his queue.
I would agree with that, and it may not be for this, then we'll see how bad it is when we go to district meeting in February 5th or whatever the date is.
And come up with a plan for the rest of this stuff, including a plan for marketing the auditorium to outside groups. And what the potential revenues are.
Yeah, I'm gonna, part of me says, I don't know how much more we can put on him, because we got a budget to get prepared for the deliberative session in March 1st.
Budget's, Matt, your end is pretty much done, isn't it?
Are you done with
For
everything?
the most part, but I have to swing towards,
Oh, the
middle school.
consolidation.
And,
Okay.
there's 2 other big projects you guys are gonna talk about tonight.
Here we are. Oh, at the board meeting?
Yep,
Okay.
and then, let's see, I've got,
Well, but anyway, right now you have a motion on the floor.
Yeah,
Let's take care of that.
okay.
okay,
Jamie? What are your, on the 17,000?
So we're voting?
No,
Get a motion.
we're discussing.
I again, I would want to see a plan for the auditorium before I spend.
Okay.
So if we say we wanna spend money without the plan, I'd be opposed to that.
All right. Any other discussion? Okay. I vote to authorize the 17,000.
As do I. Well, I appreciate my colleague's comments, I think he's right.
Absolutely.
I do feel that we do need to get in line. When the time comes, maybe we're not gonna be ready because of the plan that we put together. And so that might, I'll rely on Mr. Angel over here to, and Mr. Dawson to guide us in that respect, depending on where we are in the planning process. But I think we should let them get us in queue.
I'm sending a text to Brian Stack right now.
Okay.
So I'm sorry to interrupt, but the three things that you asked for were a plan for the auditorium, a plan for the rentals, and what was the third thing?
We need a plan for
Well,
Marketing
the
those are-
director,
The
the
rentals.
stipend and the person that's
Yeah.
managing this.
their job description and upgrading it to include rentals, or have somebody be responsible for that. That's gotta be part
Or
of the
not,
plan.
and then why do?
Or not, and then maybe we don't do some of these upgrades.
My
I hate to see it let it go.
I can connect all kinds of things with $400 to $500 worth of connectors. Is it gonna be as sharp and as perfect and everything else?
But it won't make them 4G or 4K,
No, it won't.
right?
It won't let you play high graphic videos on it, no one's doing any of that stuff, but it connect it up so you can present.
So Bob, can you speak to that again about this 4K? Why we can't do some other kinds of interface that would allow these text documents and,
You can do whatever interface, I think I mentioned it earlier, you're gonna get the speed you have from the slowest piece of equipment that you have,
okay,
the slowest box in. You can connect with adapters.
Yeah.
Through a VGA and a pigtail into an HDMI, so you can plug it into an HDMI port, but you're gonna get VGA speed. You're not gonna, by plugging a pigtail into a VGA connection and making it an HDMI connection, you're not gonna get HDMI
right.
across that.
So,
What you do, when you run it to the stage,
Yeah.
you get sound, you can run sound also, you can run audio off of your HDMI to the stage, and that was where Mr. Ambrose was having an issue.
with the delay in the sound,
Yeah, we couldn't get the sound, so we had to get the sound from the booth versus the sound from the stage, and it made for an awkward display. And again, it's not solely for displaying text documents and Word documents. So you have, you have people coming in there and they're actually displaying the operation that they have remotely. I'm trying to think of the words, but they do a remote
Video conference?
conference with the hospital to do they did hip surgery or something.
But we can hook up to that?
Not now, we can't.
Hopefully you
Oh,
could.
hopefully you could.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
and then you need a certain speed for that.
Yeah, I think that you guys are looking at what it takes to present a business presentation
Right.
as far as, text and that type of thing. And what we're looking at is the kids and drama and things that are using this for something that they wanna go to a little bit higher level. And
Yeah.
that's where I'm
If
seeing,
you're gonna have any
the
kind of
difference.
graphics, we need to do the HDMI.
Yeah,
Okay,
And that's all they're used to. You look at anything right now out there, it's all high tech.
now, I think you guys haven't really officially voted.
yeah, Ellie and I voted for it, Jamie voted against it.
Okay, all right, so thank you,
It has passed.
all right.
But I just don't want us to spend the money and not put a plan in by, let's say, June 1. How does that
Well,
sound?
Can we, how quickly do you think you and Brian can pull together a listing of all the other
It's
equipment?
June 1,
What-
not January 1.
what we would do, my plan, just thinking about it now, is that we would get in this vendor's queue. When he comes in, we'll ask him for a plan to go through the auditorium and upgrade as needed. and
So
use
it's the
him
same
for that.
vendor for all of us?
I would recommend right now using him.
Uh-huh,
I don't, I mean, you can
How about
put,
this?
you wanna put things out to bid just to make sure that his price is in line.
right,
But if his price is around in line, you want the same guy to do it, and then you want him to maintain it.
Yep.
Because it's his equipment. You're
right,
buying different, vendor models of equipment.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have one guy that does Extron, another guy does, I forget what this guy
And
did
if
on, but
something's not
certain
working, you
makes
get
of
the
the
finger
equipment.
point.
You know what, instead,
Yeah.
let's have the stipend employee do it.
That's fine too.
Come up with a list.
Yeah.
And
That's fine too.
prioritize it.
And then
She's
she
in
can give
there.
it to him and he can go through it.
Yeah.
We,
But in
you
the
know, we
meantime,
have,
we can prioritize it.
we have,
We need to move on because we got a few other things to deal with.
this is it,
Okay, this is it?
right?
Yes.
Not in my mind.
Not in
Well,
my mind
you
either.
wanna, we also need a meeting, there's a lot of unanswered manifest questions, we need a meeting to do that. I don't know that tonight's the night to do that, but,
We're gonna run out of time anyways,
Yeah.
the next group's coming in, but another
Right.
thing that we wanted to talk about was the, technology plan. What are we doing with laptops, what are we doing with, Google Chromebooks, how does that play
none
out?
of that's on the agenda.
Do you wanna take a minute?
I have no problem
Okay.
answering anything you need.
So let me just, to wrap this one up,
Mhm.
when I'm thinking in terms of a plan, what's a storyboard? What is the intended use of the auditorium? So like we're getting snippets as we ask different questions. So one of them is, well, students would be able to learn more about the technology and be able to do with it. One of them is the, theater group would be able to take things to the next level. One of them is we can have, professional, presentations.
Yeah.
There should be a storyboard. This is our vision of what we're going to do with the auditorium. These are the types of things that we want to achieve in the auditorium. To do these types of things, we would expect it cost this much money. By having that available, we can have the kids do this, we can have rental plans, do that. Here is the plan for the auditorium. It shouldn't just be, okay, if you spend this much money, I get 2 diodes, 3 connectors, and a back panel. Because that doesn't help the cause.
And now we're gonna have 7th and 8th grade here.
Yes,
So that's gonna have an impact on that auditorium use.
we will pull together a plan, I hear you. And I think that what you're saying for like the goals, the future goals, would be a great intro into how we get there.
Yes.
And describe the individual pieces that we need. Okay? All right.
Okay, anything else?
Did you want to ask me questions?
Well, we got him here, yeah.
Okay.
So,
Have at it.
when you lay out the,
Here,
Let
when
me
we
take
hand
off
the
my
target.
jacket.
when you,
Turn the other cheek?
when you lay out the plans, it's not clear to me, and it must be clear to me, but it's not clear to me. When you lay out the plans, you say, this is the technology requirements that I have over the next 3 to 5 years, I don't know what you do when you look at your overall plan. I assume you do something along the lines of, how many laptops do I have? What's the age of my laptop? How do I age out my laptops? What am I estimating I'm gonna be replacing those? How does a laptop differ from a Chromebook? Where do I have iPads? What do I need for iPads? How do you do that? What is the plan that you have to manage that technology space?
A little bit of the history, this previous board, maybe, I don't know, 8 or 10 years ago, asked for a 5-year plan for equipment, furniture, everything. So for that particular period of time, I broke out into what we were gonna buy for laptops. We have an old antiquated type remote connection system that allows us to roughly get a good inventory on the laptops and what they have, what they're running. So with each Dell laptop, you get a service tag. And if you look up that service tag, you can get a ship date. So what I look at, I use our date of purchase or our date for that particular laptop as the ship date. That's the date we get, okay? Now, we don't buy brand new technology. You know, when we buy from Dell, that model number could have been on the market for a year, 18 months before we bought it, okay? So, well, I use the ship date to get the age of the laptop. We have laptops now, model numbers that are 6 and 7 years old, okay? When we bought laptops, all right, we bought a configuration that we thought, when we studied it, would last us as long as we could use it. In other words, Windows 7 as an operating system. It stores a lot of its system files on the hard drive. So if you buy a laptop with an old-fashioned SATA hard drive, it says it will run Windows 7, but it will run really slow. When we bought laptops, we bought SSD drives, and we bought enough RAM to be able to handle that Windows 7. So hence, our laptops have been usable for roughly 6 or 7 years. When I was in business, laptops were depreciated on a 3-year basis, desktops on a 5-year basis. Now we're running laptops about 6, 7 years old. It also gets with staff members as to what they do. Different staff members do different things. Some of them just use it for email. Others take it to a different level. They want to use graphics, they want to project things, they want multiple windows open, they want to do things that are RAM necessary and stuff. So we may upgrade somebody to a laptop after 4 years because they need a higher end, yet somebody's running a laptop that's 7 years old because they're just doing email. Now, when we put the plan together, I put it together to upgrade a certain amount of laptops every 5 years. It was never funded in the last, since I've been here. It was never funded as I was asked to do. I asked for a certain amount for laptops. This is our laptop count. This is what we'd like to do. If you look back at the older plans, I did that with Chromebooks when we went to 1-to-1. We bought 700 Chromebooks when we went to 1-to-1, okay? We have yet to upgrade any Chromebooks in the middle school or both elementaries. The only thing we've done is in the high school, when we buy Chromebooks, we buy roughly 150 to 180 Chromebooks every year. That's the size of our incoming freshman class. Okay, so we outfit our incoming freshman class with a brand new Chromebook every year. That's the process we're on. They use those Chromebooks and bring them home and back and forth until they're seniors. And then Mr. Stack gives them the option to buy them at a price, I don't know exactly what it is. So we roll over Chromebooks in the high school every 4 years.
What happens to the ones that don't get bought?
We use those for spare parts. We use those for loaners in the library because there's a lot of kids that abuse them, break them, those type of things. So Mark has an inventory of those and he uses them as loaners.
Is there any responsibility financially by the kids when they do?
There's supposed to be, the collection goes through the assistant principals at the high school.
Yeah.
We fix the screens and the keyboards. The other thing, these are $200 devices.
Right.
So we're getting 4 years
Yeah.
out of a $200 device.
Right.
And in the lower grades, because we're in a controlled environment, that they don't take them home, we're getting probably more than 4 years out of a $200 device. One of your questions was, why did I buy 50 on top of the 180? The
Yes.
180 is the freshman class I was talking about. That will happen every year. The 50 was because now the ones in the lower levels are starting to break, and I need replacements for those.
And there isn't a cycle, you just replace them
No,
as they
we
break.
tried to be a cycle.
Right.
Right. And to be honest with all of you, well, I have a pool of money that I'm trying to keep the place running with.
Mhm.
That's what it is. I can't allot something, I can't go out and buy 50 new laptops because they are 5 years old. If they're running, we're using them. Because I have phone systems that are losing their digital voice that are not planned for. We have phone systems that are 15 years old. We have servers that that if we lose, we have to be able to replace. So essentially what that money is, and that replacement plan money, it's roughly 140 or 124 or something like that. That is a pool of money that I use throughout the year to try to keep things running where we can. And we only replace when they break, or when they become unusable to somebody that is a higher end user.
Higher ends then trickle down if it's still running? So
We-
if somebody's going higher end and
So
their
higher
box
end
is
would be
still
like an
running.
Apple laptop or something?
No, we only have
high-end computer.
4 Apple
I hear
laptops
it.
in the
That's
district.
4?
Right.
Apple
So-
hardware is twice as much as Dell
Yes,
hardware. So I stay away from Apple.
thank you.
Dell is a solid platform that I had when I was at Nike. We ran on Dell, and it was a solid platform. I bought it here. It keeps, what it does is it saves the tech's footsteps. If you have multiple brands and you have to deal with multiple help desk lines, so you're calling HP for this one, you're calling Dell for this one. And we have everything in Dell under the service tag, we can get the information we need. The drivers are all the same, so when we're building images, you know, everything it's saved. You have a small workforce taking care of a lot of devices and with a big umbrella under them. And so we have to save footsteps where we can. One of the things we did way back in the beginning was we paid an extra $100 in our one initial purchase for laptops for staff members. We bought docking stations. Now what that saves is, that saves a teacher from plugging in that RJ45 or that monitor cable in the back of her laptop every morning and bending and breaking those pins and then causing repair or extra service. Now they come in and they click it into a docking station and you save multiple help desk calls just by paying that extra $100 for a docking station. A lot of school districts didn't take that step, we did. Those are little things that have saved us money over the years. There was, and just to get back to the original question, there was a plan broken out by year, inventory, but a couple of years ago, that was kind of set aside because I can't tell you the reason, it wasn't me that did it. That's.
Yeah, no, it was me, and I'll tell you that what it is that the district had a capital improvement plan when I was hired that slated $4.5 million in 1 year as a plan, and I said, put that away. That's
For IT?
for everything.
Okay.
It was a full
I was
capital
gonna say, God,
improvement
I
plan.
thought
for
you
the
just saying,
district. Yeah, exactly,
I knew it
yeah,
was 4.5, I thought I missed
Yeah,
something.
no, it
just
was
for
just
IT.
unbelievable, and what I said is we can't even get the budget to pass with a $260,000 increase, and most of that money was tech. So what happened was when we got the default budget last year, the whole team had to meet in this room for the better part of a day and go through their budgets and try to scrape up enough money to make sure that Bob could buy the switches that we discussed last spring. And the other things, we only lost it by 10 votes. So, you know, it's, in my mind, there are three huge things that have to occur over the next school year. And Matt knows this already. One is, we need to totally audit the tech department and figure out what, so for example, right now we have iPads for every student in grades K through 1, right, K through 2.
K through 2.
Yeah. I don't know that we need to fund that educationally. I'm not sure I agree with that. I need more information. So it's like you said,
I don't know how to read yet.
well, yeah, but there are a lot of apps that kids use that really help them and they're really good. So it's
They were purchased for dexterity reasons too, for the younger. That was
yeah,
the reason
iPads are better
originally
for little
purchased.
kids, but my point is, well, I'm not even gonna go down that whole thing right now, we'll do it later.
Yeah.
So I've got a whole thing with that, but my point is that, you know, the IT's one thing, athletics is another, the literal facilities is another, and we need to come up with I don't mind having a plan, which you've already started working on the facilities end, but the plan needs to be realistic. Any year that you put a $4 million bump in a plan, that's just
It's
suicide.
not that far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just not gonna work, so we certainly recognize, and Bob agrees, that we need a plan, and Bob's never, you know, I believe that Bob needs a plan for his department, but I don't want Bob to feel like I'm the one who put the kibosh on that capital plan, and I'll take responsibility for that, it was ridiculous, but we also recognize that IT needed things, and we put them in the budget, and we didn't get the budget, so we had to adjust. So that's where we're at. Matt, do you have any, did I summarize accurately? I mean, you're reading the numbers.
I remember the capital.
You do have,
Yeah, you saw it before.
you have a group of Chromebooks in the lower levels, roughly over 500, that are going on their 4th year.
Yeah.
And they're $200 devices. First of all, the fact that we got 4 years out of the $200 device is a very good thing.
Oh, there's another meeting now,
Okay.
we have to.
How many Chromebooks
But
are there in
those-
total, Bob, about?
700, I don't, yeah, it's one per kid, roughly. It's
Email,
1 to 1.
email that number later, because like, for example.
I think
Bob-
I emailed
Bob-
you guys, I
Yeah,
did
I got
email it.
You've got
I
it?
did
But
email
I
it.
wanna be clear that Bob used a number for the freshman class of 180.
Yep.
That's too high now, it's come down, so I think it's important to,
What I do is I buy 15 extra spares.
Yep.
When I buy it, because it's cheaper to buy
in bulk.
in a larger lot, and then you don't have a kid waiting for the approval process for one Chromebook.
So what I would say is more to come on this.
Yep.
A lot more.
Okay, so we need to get out of here.
Yep.
Thanks very much. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Just
You can
have,
make a
you
motion.
know, we
What's
do
that?
have,
Motion to adjourn?
Yeah, motion to adjourn?
before we
Thank you.
adjourn, not yet, we gotta fix all this other manifest question stuff that we do.
We need a meeting
And,
to
and
do
I'd
that.
like to suggest something, we normally meet before a school board meeting, and then your report is then 2 weeks old, I don't like that.
Okay,
I think we need to either meet the week before the school board meeting, so that when you come to the school board meeting, you report out what was discussed, what was reviewed. I think it's impossible to have a meeting now and then go report out, not have as detailed as.
Yeah, just for the record, the expectation isn't that anyone would report out that night, it's supposed to be 2 weeks later,
right.
so it's supposed to come out.
I get that.
Yeah,
The information is 2 weeks old. All right, never mind,
Yeah, I don't agree that that's a problem, but we can talk about it later, we've got to stop.
if you guys don't think it's a problem, I am backing off.
No, we're not
Okay, so
adjourned
we-
yet.
Motion to adjourn. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're gonna revisit it.